Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to another video regarding Battlefield 6, and we are talking about Tsuru Reef. I am genuinely shocked, very surprised at how bad this map is. Alright, now I didn't really expect to go down this angle. If you've seen my last video, you'd know that I was expecting this studio to basically act like Season 4 was going to re-release the game. If they had any common sense, they would have laid down enough content at this point during this season to essentially re-release this game and try and bring back a substantial amount of audience. Only the energy is just, none of it is there. And from everything I've played in this map so far, it has some good elements here and there, but all in all, this one map, I have no fucking idea how they do it. It's falling into the same traps as basically every single map in the game. This map is basically a hybrid between Blackwell Fields and Railway to Golmud. It's falling into the exact same problems. Only just imagine Blackwell Fields with an ocean, and that's it. They have a consistent problem with heavy asset placement, and it's basically congested most of those key infantry areas on the map. And you look at the vehicle play on this map, but in particular with the boat, the RCB-90, this attack boat which is returning from BF4. Again, no idea why it's taken so long to get this base content into the game. Like, this is baseline content. None of this is actually new. When you come to terms with it, none of the content in this live service is new. It's drip feed. None of these vehicles have any space to navigate around the map because they've quarantined the player into the fucking map with these kill boundaries, so you don't have enough space to maneuver the attack boat. The elevation of the terrain is really steep, and so the attack boat in certain areas of the map, especially at the base, in this zone in particular, the attack boat doesn't have any significant leverage here. It's literally just a sitting duck. And basically, the terrain is too steep. It can't get any angle at the infantry. And so this entire map, none of it comes together. It's really fucking bizarre what they did here. Now, I want to begin with Conquest and then work my way into Breakthrough, because that is basically where I found most of the problems. So officially, Tsuru Reef is supposed to be the largest map in the game, designed around land, air, and naval combat. The developers even referenced Paracel Storm as a major inspiration for this map. And that makes this particularly frustrating because it tries to copy that scenery without understanding all of that tactical machinery that's running that fucking map. Tsuru Reef is not an ugly map. In fact, it might be one of the prettiest maps in the game. The water looks fantastic. The tropical islands it's all beautifully rendered. You've got beaches, resorts, military facilities, coastal areas, villages, all that stuff, and all that decorative foliage. But beneath all of that expensive scenery is another painfully generic Battlefield 6 map. It's basically under the same design philosophies plaguing most of every single map in this damn game. Okay, again, this map plays like Blackwell Fields mixed with fucking Railway to Golmud, and there is just genuinely no space for the attack boat to navigate freely on this map. Again, every location on this map is smothered with assets. Every infantry area has been filled with cover. Every objective has been designed as its own densely packed combat arena. And this isn't that bad of a design choice. Again, it does look really good. However, what this is doing is it's swamping the players in subdivided areas across key infantry spaces on the map. And it's pulling away players from the larger whole of the battle going on. If we look at Paracel Storm, for example, much of the map is basically wide open terrain across islands. And again, we look at past Battlefield games, those were terrain-focused games. Okay, we weren't focused heavy on art direction and asset placement. And this is what made those games very easy to read and minimalistic. It was really basic and fun. We're looking at the games now, and there is a heavy focus on art direction and asset placement, and it's basically swamping players into infantry focused areas. And so 64 players on this map doesn't feel like it's enough, because there's just genuinely so much going on the map. And again, this reinforces the idea that there's just no tactical depth through the geography on these maps that they're constantly shitting out. There's visual complexity without that tactical understanding on these maps. And this is just a problem. They keep falling into the same fucking problems all throughout these maps. And so every objective area becomes its own meat grinder, basically. But it does have some really interesting CQC environments that can be really entertaining. I'm not saying it's a bad thing entirely. There are some interesting battles inside the resort, around the harbour, through the residential areas, and inside that military facility complex. However, on Conquest, again, none of this translates across the entire map. The focus is all on CQC. Instead of focusing on that land, air and sea combat with vehicles, you are basically focusing on 17 different windows, and you're basically looking out for staircases, bushes, aggressively recycled buildings where enemies could emerge from across these densely packed environments. That's why this map, again, feels like it's just the same shit going on, from Railway to Golmud, from Blackwell Fields. This map basically feels like every single map in the game already, and it does not take advantage of the attack boat at all. It's quite baffling when you think about it in regards to breakthrough. And again, there's just not much in the sandbox currently. The attack boats don't really have much significance on this map. A large amount of the vehicles on offer here are basically rib boats. Again, no attack helicopters, no Little Bird, no AC-130 on this map. There is no jet skis, there is no hovercrafts. So there is a lot to be desired on this map. And again, it's like the promotional material, it had an attack chopper on there, except there isn't one here. So it's really baffling what the fuck is going on. And it can often feel like there's only one attack boat available. While again, much of the action on this map is just infantry focused, based in those really densely packed areas, just taking away from that land, air and sea combat. So there's just a strange contradiction at the center of Tsuru Reef. Battlefield desperately needs large maps in the damn game, and this is touted as the biggest map in the damn game, only it feels very fucking small for some strange reason. And the thing about Conquest maps, they need to have readable strategic structure. You need to have certain objectives which should control vehicle spawns, and others should dominate movement routes. Some should provide high ground, repair stations, anti-air positions, or access to powerful flanking opportunities. And I'm just not seeing that on these maps. Capturing an objective should change the rhythm of the map, except that there's just so many capture points on this damn map. None of the positions here feel like you're capturing any significant space which will turn the tide of the map, essentially. It's just a zone to be captured. And what this is doing to the attack boat is it feels like it's trapped inside an aquarium. The attack boat should feel like the centerpiece of Tsuru Reef. Officially, the RCB-90 is designed to fight other naval vehicles, attack targets along the shore, and basically act as a mobile deployment point. When it approaches the beach or docks, its ramp opens up and infantry can directly spawn inside it. And that sounds like the perfect vehicle for coordinated amphibious assaults. On paper, it's brilliant, but in practice, none of this is fucking coming together. This is where I really want to hone in on the breakthrough game mode, because they have made no fucking effort at all to include the attack boat into breakthrough. Okay, it's largely just infantry combat from the jump. Okay, the attackers are spawning on the island, and within the first 5 seconds, you are literally engaging the defensive forces on the island. And it's like, wow, this is like a massive opportunity that you've missed here, because the geography here is really important. Okay, you have a map here which is based on an island. Okay, you have lots of opportunity here for that coastal invasion. Okay, if we compare this to maps from past battlefield experiences like BF4, Paracel Storm takes massive advantage of this coastal invasion. The rush mode is perfect for that linear map sector by sector gameplay. Okay, I really enjoy that type of gameplay, only this current dev team just don't seem to understand how to fucking design around that at all. BF4, the attackers would spawn at a fucking carrier and they were pushing the defensive forces on a downed carrier in the middle of the ocean, and it would turn into a massive coastal assault and you would push the defensive forces further into the island. If we look at Cog Island from BF3, okay, massive coastal invasion once again. Okay, the defensive forces had bunkers, SAM sites, and the attacking forces would spawn at a carrier and they would basically assault the defensive forces. Huge explosions, massive coastal assault, hovercrafts landing on the beach, reinforced by attack helicopters, and it was just a really epic experience. Okay, Sharkey Peninsula, again, same formula. And you look at many of Battlefield 4's naval focused DLC, and again, same principles. We were attacking from the sea and meeting the defensive forces at the coastal areas, and we would push them back sector by sector. It's a very simple design philosophy. They could have used that right here in BF6's Tsuru Reef, except they didn't. And it's like, why the fuck you have an attack boat in the sandbox currently? And yet they've made no effort to include it in this breakthrough game mode. If this is how they are going to consistently design these naval based maps, I'm really worried for how they're going to fuck around with Wake Island. This is really lazy. There's no other words to describe what's happening right now other than fucking lazy. And yeah, I just don't understand how they are falling into these problems consistently with the massive overbloat of people that you have in these development teams. You have 4 studios working on this game currently, with hundreds in these studios each, not to mention that you are backed by EA with millions in financial backing. It's absolutely crazy how none of you have any fucking idea what you're doing when you're making these maps. If I was the director designing these maps, I would have basically designed Tsuru Reef so that it would reasonably make practical sense to have the attackers spawn at the sea and push the defensive forces. The geography here practically writes the operation itself. Looking at the map, you know, the attackers should begin offshore. Attack boats and transport craft should push through the waves, while the attackers should be flying overhead and providing the support. Jets fight for control over the skies. You've got the naval vessels which should bombard those defensive positions as infantry land across several key areas across the beach. It's very basic common sense. I don't know how the fuck they didn't understand this is what should be going on here on this map. The first sector on this map should be positioned directly across the coastline, forcing the attacking team to establish a beachhead. Okay, it's very fucking simple. Once the coastline is secured, the battle should progress into the port. Then the attackers should advance through the civilian settlements. When you're playing this on breakthrough, it's very fucking weird what's happening, because again, you're pushing through this densely packed environment first, and then that second environment is really fucking spaced out. And so there is a really quick switch from SMGs and carbines into fucking LMGs and DMRs and sniper rifles. And this switch is fucking instant. It's like, what the hell is happening? There is no clearly defined military campaign going on here. It's just a fucking rush straight through the defense, and nothing makes sense. Each sector should represent progression through the island. You know, that naval dominance should gradually transition into ground infantry warfare. The attackers should begin with freedom and mobility with the boats, while the defenders should basically be prepared with positions and elevation. And so it should feel like an invasion, essentially, from the sea. You know, and again, I need to emphasize that Tsuru Reef's breakthrough layout largely abandons the naval identity altogether, and it just funnels players into just narrow choke points and infantry focused fucking chaos. And it's just a disgusting obsession at this point. It's very clear that they don't know what they're doing or how to design maps with any strategic design. Okay, the attack boat is absent on this operation here. There is no helicopters. The attackers are basically forced to play this as an infantry mode because they aren't even reinforced with LAVs, no BTRs, no fucking Bradleys on this map. There is nothing here to help the attackers. So they're largely just running through much of those coastal areas and trying to get cover as quick as possible. And so this is just not a balancing problem here. There is just congested infantry choke points, and there is just no space for vehicle play at all. What the fuck is happening here on this map? Their whole design philosophy is try to recycle Bad Company 2's linear style progression, and it just doesn't work in Battlefield 6. This game is screaming that it needs a BF4 style combat experience, and this game just isn't. The developers are holding this game back. It's not the map's fault, it's how the map is being designed. It's being tailored for these game modes, and the developers don't understand what they're doing. The map itself is fine, okay? We cannot design flat-based terrain all the time. It's okay to have densely populated maps. It's okay to have terrain that is elevated. You can have maps like that. The map itself isn't the fucking problem. It's how the map is being designed around game modes. It's how objectives are being spaced out across these game modes. And again, those infantry zones, which are densely populated with assets, are swamping the players into subdivided spaces, which is pulling them away from the larger battle at whole. And so that's a problem for Conquest. On Breakthrough, it's just a linear style infantry fucking joke that doesn't take advantage of the Sandbox vehicles at all. And this is just a fucking mess. Yeah, I'm really worried about what they're going to do to Wake Island, because I guarantee you it's going to fall into the same fucking joke that we are currently witnessing at the moment. I also think it's worth pointing out that Section 3 of this map is also suffering from a lot of boundary problems. The boundary that the attackers get is completely different to the kill boundary the defensive team get. And so when you're pushing in to try and capture the objective towards the coastal area is where I found this problem to be the most significant on this map. You are constantly getting shot from areas the attackers are not allowed to go, and this is exploited every single fucking game I play. And so the defensive team will typically camp way at the back around the cliff area, and not only that, but they are also shielded by the cliffs that are around those coastal areas, and you basically cannot shoot them. It's only until the attackers are trying to get that wide flank that they are completely exposed and are vulnerable at that angle, and so they are constantly getting shot from that area. There's genuinely nothing you can do other than turn around, shoot back, and you are basically again exposed at every single angle. So in terms of balancing, I'm not sure what the fuck is happening here. They clearly don't know how to design maps. It's almost as if they didn't play test this fucking map. I'm not sure why the defenders have a wider area in terms of kill boundaries, and it's completely different for the attackers here at this point. It genuinely makes no sense. And again, the other problem is there's just not enough vehicular support for the attackers here. Packs are supposed to be invading this island, and there is just no vehicular support anywhere. The gun truck, it just isn't enough with that stupid 50 cal. You're not doing shit. It's really baffling what the fuck they did here on this map. Please do let me know what you think so far of this map. I've been fairly late on this review because I was waiting for my PC to be delivered. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, guys. I shall see you in the next one.